Kos Antoniou is a driving instructor in North London. How long have you been doing the job?
I've been a driving instructor now for some 33 years now.
What kind of person do you need to be a driving instructor?
I think a driving instructor needs to be a type of chameleon. He needs to change his style of teaching to suit the person that's sitting next to him. I think it goes without saying that you have to be patient and you have to be a people type of person. You need to be able to react quickly to situations, and you need to be able to give confidence to the person that's sitting next to you.
Is it a very stressful job?
Yes, it can be very stressful depending on who you're teaching and where you're teaching, but I enjoy it.
Have you ever had an accident or near accident during a driving lesson?
It's very rare for an instructor to have an accident on a driving lesson, but when we do have an accident on a driving lesson, it's normally because we're stationary and it's the car behind that doesn't stop and ends up in the back of them. And that's what happened to me once. I was stationary at a zebra crossing where people were crossing and the car behind me did not stop. He ended up in the back of our car.
Do most people pass the test the first time?
Most people don't really pass the first time, no. And that's going round. Good.
In your driving school, what is the record for the most number of tests that someone has taken?
With me, the maximum amount of tests someone has taken is 8 tests. But I have heard other driving schools have taken at least 25 tests. The maximum normally with me is about 2.
Do you think the driving test should be made more difficult?
I think the driving test is as hard as it can be. The British driving test now is perhaps the hardest driving test in the world. I don't think it should be made more difficult, but what I do feel that we can do to make it easier for people taking it is to split it up. We have the manoeuvres, that is turning in the road, reversing around the corner, and the reverse parking manoeuvres. If we can separate these from the actual drive, then we can make the test easier, but at the same time keeping it at a high level. Not forgetting to look over your right shoulder. That's what the blind spot is all about. It's the point where the mirrors come.
In general, do you think women make better drivers than men?
In general, I think they do make better, safer drivers than men. When men or young boys pass their driving tests, they tend to change their attitude to driving once they're on the road. They do not follow the way they're taught. They do not keep their speed down to a reasonable level, whereas women tend to drive the way they're taught. And this is why insurance is cheaper for a woman than it is for a man.
What one change would you make to the law to reduce accidents?
I would make teaching driving compulsory in all schools so that you start teaching attitude and start teaching learning to drive in classroom first and then having to then teach it on the road. I would make it compulsory to learn driving in classes.
Do you enjoy driving in your free time?
Yes, I do enjoy driving in my free time. It's the only time I get to drive. Normally, I'm in the passenger seat teaching someone how to drive, and I really enjoy driving in Europe. I think it goes without saying that you have to be patient and you have to be a people type of person. Yes, it can be very stressful depending on who you're teaching. It's the car behind that doesn't stop and ends up in the back of them. And that's what happened to me once. In general, I think they do make better, safer drivers than men. They do not keep their speed down to a reasonable level, whereas women tend to drive the way they're taught.
How did you learn to drive?
I learned to drive when I was 18 in Germany, and I took lessons, which took several weeks.
Did you pass your test the first time?
Yes, I did. I'm proud to say.
Do you think you're a good driver?
I'm okay. I do have to do a bit of thinking when I drive in England, and then again when I drive in Germany, to make sure I drive on the right side and I do the right things. But yeah, I'm okay. I've not had any big accidents.
How did you learn to drive?
Driving lessons many years ago.
Did you pass your test the first time?
No.
Do you think you're a good driver?
Better now than I was when I was younger.
How did you learn to drive?
I learned to drive when I was 17. I had a few lessons with my father, but mainly I had lessons with the driving instructor.
Did you pass your test the first time?
I did pass my test the first time, although it took me quite a many lessons before I was confident.
Do you think you're a good driver?
I think I'm a good driver. I've been driving for a long, long time, and I've never had any accidents or any convictions.
How did you learn to drive?
Mostly my father, but I had some lessons as well.
Did you pass your test the first time?
No, third.
Do you think you're a good driver?
I'm okay, but I've had a lot of experience now, so I'm okay. Yeah.
How did you learn to drive?
I learned to drive when I was 18. I really wanted to have a driving license, so as soon as I turned 18, I decided to take lessons, and I had to take quite a lot of lessons because I wasn't very good at it. So I took something like 30 lessons, and then I went for my exams.
Did you pass your test the first time?
No, I had to take my exams 3 times.
Do you think you're a good driver?
Well, the truth is that I haven't actually driven much since I passed my exam. So I think I'll need to take lessons again now if I want to start driving again.
Yes, I did. I'm proud to say.
Driving lessons many years ago.
I had a few lessons with my father.
Mostly my father, but I had some lessons as well.
I had to take quite a lot of lessons because I wasn't very good at it.